Hi, this is Dr. Benfinio, and normally I make Zoom tutorials, but because it's 2020 and nothing makes sense anymore, in this video I'll be showing you how to make a custom laser pointer video for your cat using Microsoft PowerPoint. Yes, really. On a serious note, you've probably seen videos like this that you can play for your cat on an iPad to keep them entertained while you're away. This video will show you how to make your own custom version. Mr. Fuzzybottom approves, but he was not available for this recording. So doing this is pretty simple if you're familiar with PowerPoint, but I'm going to walk through it slowly and step by step for people who are not. The first thing you will need to do is open a blank PowerPoint file. You only need one slide, and you can delete the text boxes that PowerPoint adds to the title slide by default. You do not need those. Now, the first thing to do is decide what color you want for your background. The default is white, but you can change that to any color you want by right-clicking anywhere on the slide and selecting Format Background. Once you do that, you can change the color of the background by leaving this on Solid Fill and selecting a different color from this Fill Color drop-down menu. For example, I can change the background to black. If you would like to use a picture as the background instead of a solid color, you can click the Picture or Texture Fill radio button, and then select Insert Picture to choose a file from your computer. For now, I'm just going to leave the background on white. Now, once you have your background color selected, you can close that, and next it's time to select the shape you want to animate. Now, I just did a basic circle in that introductory part at the beginning, but you don't have to do a circle. You could do any shape you want, or even import something like an insect. You might have seen videos where there's a little cockroach or mouse running along the screen. So if you want one of those, you can go up here to Insert and select Icons, and this will let you search for different things. For example, if I type in mouse, there are a couple little mouse graphics, or if I type in insect, there are a bunch of little bug type graphics. So you could click one of these, click Insert, and that will put that on the screen for you, but I'm just going to go with a regular circle for purposes of this demonstration. So I'm going to delete my little insect. I'm going to go up here to the circle. I'm going to draw one on the screen. Now, if you're picky like me and you want to have a perfect circle and not something that's actually a bit of an oval, you're going to need to turn the grid and the snap on. So you can do that by going up to View, clicking Grid Lines to make sure you can see the grid, and then you have to click this little arrow to expand and check the Snap Objects to Grid button. That will allow you to size the corners of your circle to make sure they fit a square and that you actually have a perfect circle and not something that's a little oblong. Again, if that isn't going to bother you, you don't have to worry about it. Just wanted to show those steps for people who might be pickier about it. Now, you should decide on the size you want this, if you want it kind of a bigger shape like a mouse or a bug versus a much tinier dot that is more like a laser pointer. Say I'll pick something about halfway in between here. And then you're going to want to choose your colors. So go back over here to the Home tab, and you have options for Shape Fill and Shape Outline. I'm going to set both of these just to a bright red, but again, you could pick different colors here, or if you wanted the outline to be a different color than the fill, you could do that. But again, I'm going to go with the basic red circle on a white background for this demo. Okay, you have your background and your shape set up. Now for the fun part, the animation. To do that, you're going to click on your shape and then click on the Animations tab. And you don't want it to just appear, you want it to move around. So you need to click this little down arrow for the drop-down menu here for the animations. And you want to select something under the motion paths here. I'm going to pick one that is a closed shape as opposed to an open end-to-end shape. So start with either shapes that looks like a circle here or the loop, the figure 8. I'm going to start with the circle. Click on that and you see it's automatically going to make this move in a tight little circle, but maybe you want it to move all over the screen. Maybe you want to move it in a bigger circle. You don't want it to just go with the default. That's kind of boring. So next I'll show you how to edit this path to get whatever custom shape you want. So to do that, first you can resize the path by clicking and dragging on these corners, but to change the shape, you need to right-click on it and make sure you have to move your mouse a little carefully so I see how that switches from just the cursor to the little arrows there. So I need to be directly on the shape. I'm going to right-click and select Edit Points. And you see that will change, so I now have these 4 squares here, and now instead of resizing the whole thing, I can click and drag these around individually to change the shape of the path. Not only can I move those 4 points, but you see when I select one individual point, it gives me these 2 additional white squares that I can click and drag, and they will change the slope or the approach of the line into this point. So you see if I drag this line, it's kind of tilting. That black point is staying anchored, but it's tilting how the line enters and exits that point. So, not only can you edit the 4 existing points, you can also add new ones by right-clicking anywhere on the red path and selecting Add Point. So now you see I have a new point there that I can drag around, and again, whenever I drag one point, all of the other points are going to stay fixed, and the line will adapt between the 2 adjacent points in this segment. And again, when I've added that new point, I get these white squares that I can drag to tilt the angle of the line. So I can do this as many times as I want and make this as crazy as I want to ultimately make my final shape. So I'm just going to go in here and add a few more. So I'm going to kind of drag these in and out to make this weird blob-like shape. And if you misclick at any point, don't panic. You can always right-click again, go back into Edit Points, right-click again, go to Add Point, and just pick up right where you left off. You don't have to worry about losing your progress if you accidentally misclick at some point. And again, with each one of these, you can change the tilt a little bit. So I'm going to say, okay, that's good enough for my first shape. I'm going to leave it like this. Click off of somewhere to deselect it. And now you're going to want to preview this animation. So we're going to do that by going up here to the Animation Pane button. Click that, and then click the Play All button, and you should see your shape move through the new complicated path you've made instead of the original circle. You might have noticed that the dot sped up slowly at the beginning and then went really fast through the bottom and then slowed down again at the end. So if you want to change that speed up and slow down, or the amount of time the entire thing takes, you can do that by going over here to the animation pane, click on your animation, and then this little drop-down menu will appear. So this is kind of hidden. That arrow isn't there unless you have this animation selected. Click that drop-down arrow, and then select Effect Options, and this brings up a window where you can adjust a bunch of different things. So the first is that smooth start and smooth end. That's the ramp up and ramp down. So if you want to get rid of that completely, if you just want it to move at a constant speed the whole time, you can set that to 0. So I'm actually going to set both of those to 0 because I don't want that. I just want it to move at a constant speed. But if you do want it to ramp up a little bit, go fast, and then slow down, you can leave those set to some non-zero value. Next, you can go over here to the Timing tab, and this is where you're going to select the duration for a single entire loop. So it defaults to 2 seconds, which it calls medium. And it gives you a drop-down menu here where you can select from different options, but you don't actually have to select one of these options. You can just type in a number. So for example, I am going to type in 10 seconds, hit OK, and now you see what the animation looks like at a constant speed where it's 10 seconds per loop with no ramp up or slow down. So, of course, if you want to use this to keep your cat entertained for any period of time, you're going to need that animation to repeat so you can make a longer video. You can do that by, again, going to the little drop-down menu over here and selecting timing and entering a number for repeat. So, for example, I have a 10-second loop here. If I make it repeat 6 times, that's going to give me a 60-second video, or 1 minute. 60 times would be 600 seconds or 10 minutes, and so on. The bigger this number gets, the bigger the file will be and the longer it will take to save, but the longer you can keep your cat entertained. I believe it maxes out at 9,999 because if you try to type in 10,000 and click OK, it will beep at you and not let you do it. But if you type in 9999 and hit OK, it will let you do that, and then start just previewing, looping through the animation that number of times. Now, once you have all of your timing set and the shape of your path the way you like it, so you're happy with the animation, you are ready to export your video file. Now, especially for longer animations, this can take a while, so I really recommend making sure you like everything with the preview feature in PowerPoint before you go to save. You do that by going up here to the File tab in the top left, then select Export over here on the left, select Create a Video, and here you can select your resolution. It defaults to HD. If you want a smaller file size, you can pick a smaller resolution. If you have a cat with high standards who wants a 4K video, you could pick 4K, but that's going to result in a very large file. So I'm just going to pick full HD. You don't need to worry about this seconds spent on each slide number. That's for if you have multiple slides and you want it to advance through them at some fixed interval. Changing that isn't going to matter. Then you can click the Create Video button, select a location and a name for your file, hit Save, and you might think it's done, but again, for longer videos, this can actually take a very long time to save. So if you look down at the bottom of my screen, you'll see that little bar for creating presentation video 1, and it hasn't even moved 1 pixel yet, so you might actually need to walk away from your computer for a couple hours or overnight if you're creating a video that's hours and hours long here. So let it run overnight, come back in the morning, and your file should be saved where you left it. So I have a bunch of these that I made previously. You can see that the 10-hour ones came out to a little over 2 gigabytes. So again, that is a pretty big file if you want to do this locally and then transfer it to an iPad. I do have all of mine available on a playlist on YouTube. You can find the link to that in the description below this video. But if you do try this out yourself or find a perfect combination that seems to work best for your cat in terms of color or shape or background and path, speed, all of that, please leave a comment below this video to let other cat owners know about it. So, if you've actually watched this far, thank you. Again, this is not really a cat channel. Usually I do Zoom and electronics tutorials, but as I said, nothing makes sense anymore. So if you have a question, go ahead and leave a comment below this video. Thank you.